So today we're looking at 4 different flashlights. These are all running on a single 18650 lithium ion battery. ThruNite had just come out with their BSS V4. So I want to compare this to 3 other flashlights on the market, very popular ones. The first one we're comparing it to is the Olight. This is the Warrior Mini 2. All right. Next we have the Streamlight. This is the ProTac HLX. And then we are comparing this to the Fenix PD35. Now, when people are looking to buy a new flashlight, I think there's 2 factors that really stand out the most. There's a lot of different reasons why you might pick one flashlight over another. There may be specific modes that you want, certain features that you want. You know, maybe you want a certain look. Maybe there's a certain brand that you're loyal to. But at the end of the day, there's 2 really important factors. Number 1 is price. All right, how much is this light going to cost me? Can I afford it? And number 2 is what's the performance? You know, what am I getting for that price tag? So we're going to go over those 2 factors here real quick on all 4 of these lights. First is the ThruNite BSS V4. These sell for $59.95, and the highest output on this is 2,523 lumens. It is extremely bright. Next we have the Olight. This is the Warrior Mini 2. All right, these sell for $89.95. All right, and this one is putting out a high output of 1,750 lumens, which is still extremely bright. Next, we have the Streamlight. This is the ProTac HLX. These sell for $87.48. All right, and this is putting out 1,000 lumens. And then finally, we have the Fenix PD35. This is the version 3 of this light, and these sell for $79.95, and these put out 1,700 lumens. All right, so all 4 of these lights are very high performance lights in my opinion. Anything over 60 lumens is considered tactical. And what I mean by that is that you can use it in a self-defense situation. It can disorient someone. And modern day flashlights and technology has far surpassed that. Pretty much all modern flashlights are over 60 lumens, even tiny little EDC pocket lights or keychain lights for that matter. But all 4 of these can be very much used in a tactical type situation where you just need a bunch of light to distract either a person or an animal. All 4 of these lights are putting out tons of performance. They obviously do vary a little bit in their price and their output. Clearly, the ThruNite here, the new BSS V4, is not only the cheapest at about $60 compared to the other 3, which are in the $75 to $85 range, generally speaking. Of course, prices are subject to change. The prices that I gave you guys are right now what they sell for. This is retail. However, like Streamlight, for example, you can't buy directly from their website. So I got their price off of Amazon as a reference. However, the prices will fluctuate quite a bit depending on where you're getting them. But these are just to give you a general idea of their cost at the filming of this video. But the performance is still fantastic on all these. It's just a ThruNite in comparison happens to be the brightest and the cheapest. Now, what determines the performance of a flashlight really is the combination of the battery source as well as the LED. All right, so when you have a high output battery like an 18650 and a new modern LED, you're able to get those extreme outputs, those 1,000+ lumen lights. So in the case of the ThruNite BSS V4, all right, look at the business end of this flashlight. And you can see the LED down in there. This one is an SST70, all right, pretty commonly used these days on some of the more higher end flashlights. And again, that is allowing that 2,523 lumens to come out of this flashlight. So super cool. Switching over to the Olight here, all right, the Olight Warrior Mini 2, the LED is a mystery. I don't know because it's not stated on their website. But you can see down there in the business end of the flashlight. I like to show the heads here because it will show the reflectors as well as the LEDs themselves. In this case, this has a proximity sensor, which is a different feature you may or may not like. But this one again is putting out that 1,750 lumens with the mystery LED. All right, next we have the Streamlight. This is the ProTac, the HLX. Unfortunately, this is also a mystery LED that's down in there. They do not state what it is. But you can see the large, deep reflector with this oversized head on this one. This has the biggest head of the 4 here. All right. And then finally, we have the Fenix PD35. And Fenix does state that they're using a luminous SFT40 LED, which is offering that 1,700 lumens. So now I just want to go over each light's UI or user interface. This is how the light functions, all right, to show the different modes and how it works. Keep in mind, we're starting here with the ThruNite BSS V4. V4 stands for version 4, or the 4th generation of this light. So there are 3 previous versions of this flashlight. Each time they're just making it better and better and upgrading it, modifying it slightly. So it's a better performing flashlight. So you can see there is a large tail switch, all right, which is very easy to use. You can do a soft press or a half press for momentary on, so when you let go it goes off, or you can just click it on for constant on. All right, then there's also a separate dedicated side button on here, okay, which you can press to turn it on as well. You're going to push and hold to cycle through the modes, low, medium, and high. All right, so low, medium, high, just like that. All right, you would normally double click to turbo. In this case, it still needs a little bit of a charge, so it flashes red here. All right, and it goes back to the high mode. When the light is off, do a long press. All right, and then we have our moonlight mode here, which has ridiculous run times. And then if you wanted a strobe, it's a triple click. 1, 2, 3, and we have our strobe mode. Now what I like about this flashlight is there's 2 separate ways to operate it, okay? So if you like holding it like this, you could just use a side switch, turn on, and normally you would go right into the turbo mode for the highest mode. But if you like to hold it in a reverse grip like this for maybe some kind of tactics or something, or you just prefer the tail switch, it's nice to have that separate dedicated switch. All right, so there's 2 different options there in using this light. So next we have the Olight Warrior Mini 2. This also has a dedicated side switch as well as a tail switch. What's interesting about this is that if you do a half press here, because the light goes on, but if you push all the way in, it goes to the higher mode. However, it's still a momentary on. So if you let go, it shuts back off. So half press, you want a little brighter, you push in further and you could feel it kind of click, but it doesn't stay on. All right, you have to do a quick press in order to just turn on where it stays on. Now if you use a side switch here, all right, you can long press just like the ThruNite. So we have our moonlight mode here, or just push it once to turn it on and push and hold to cycle through the modes, low, medium, high. When you first do it, it actually cycles through all 4 of the modes. It shows you turbo as well, but you can let go at any mode you want. At any point in time, you can double click to go to the turbo mode or triple click to go to the strobe. All right, really simple as well. I do like the different combinations of modes, and just like the ThruNite, I like the fact that it's a dedicated tail switch if you just want to turn the light on real quick, just simple, right? Or if you want to cycle through different modes or hold it differently, you can use that side switch. So next up is the Streamlight ProTac HLX. This actually has a programmable system in here. It's a 10-tap programmable, all right, which is actually even noted on the side of the light. I'm not going to get into that for this particular video just because it's a little bit more complicated. But for all intent purposes, there's just a tail clicky. There's no side switch at all. You could use the half press for momentary on, which is very nice. All right, or just click it on. But if you use the half press and let go of it and continue to half press, you could switch between the 3 modes. So we have high, strobe, and low. All right. So that's what's cycling through, and then when you have a mode you want, just click it in and keep it on. All right, so half press, if I wanted this mode, just click it and it would stay on. Or in any case, you could just click it on. So it's kind of more simple compared to the ThruNite and the Olight. It's just preference. If you like to hold a flashlight like this, obviously there is no side switch, so you'd have to, click it on the back and then change your position. Not the end of the world, but definitely a little bit different than the other 2. And then last up, we have the Fenix PD35. Again, this is the version 3 of this light, just in case you've seen previous versions. All right, there's a 3rd gen. This one also has a side switch as well as a tail switch. However, you can't turn it on with a side switch. Nothing happens, okay? So you have to use a tail switch turn on, just like the other lights. You can half press for momentary. It seems pretty standard for the industry. If you push all the way in, it'll just stay on constant. Once it's on constant, then you could switch over to the side switch to run through your different modes. All right, pushing and holding will do your strobe, and you can see it does change the frequency, which I do like quite a bit in strobe. It's a slower strobe right now, and now it's faster. So going back and forth between those different wavelengths is even more disorientating than a regular strobe mode. All right, but instead of pushing and holding to change your mode, you're just tapping it. All right. In fact, in demonstrating that, I totally forgot, because the other lights and most lights I'm used to, you're pushing and holding to cycle through, but with the Fenix models, you're pressing a single time. All right, so that's how you're actually going through your modes. You see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different outputs. So we have low, medium 1, medium 2, high, and then what they would consider turbo. And again, at any point in time, you can push and hold to go to the strobe. It doesn't matter if you're in the low mode here, or mediums, or high, turbo, it doesn't make a difference, okay? So when using a light, at any point in time, if you need to quickly access the strobe mode, just hold the side switch, all right? And then you're back into strobe. All right, so now we're gonna head outside, take a look at what these are capable of at night. That's the most important thing, right? How do they look in the dark? These different lights may throw differently. Some might have more of a tighter beam, some might be more of an area light. It really just comes down to preference, what you're looking to do with your flashlight. You know, if you want to look very far and you want distance, you want to have a tighter beam, you know, a more focused beam, so it's going to actually project very far. But with that, the farther it projects, usually the less light you have, you know, coming out of the sides. Whereas some people want flashlights that are great for shorter distances, they really light up a very wide area. So it really does come down to preference. There really is no better or worse. It just depends on what you're looking for. But we're gonna get outside and actually get some beam shots so you can see the differences in these lights to better help you understand which one might be better for you. All right, so first up out here, we have the ThruNite BSS V4. Now I do have the crenulated bezel on here that will show just a slightly different beam pattern, as you're gonna see the artifacts around it from creating shadows. So first I'll show you with it. All right, this is on high. Now if I come all the way down, you can kind of see how the top has loops. That's because of the crenulated bezel. As I rotate that, you can kind of make out those different points. All right, so here's the light, and let me take off the crenulated bezel, and we're gonna do the rest of the testing without it. If you're just using this for, you know, regular EDC or something, and you didn't have to worry about having it for defense, then you can take that part off. But anyway, here it is. Go up and down. All right, and left and right. So that is the ThruNite BSS V4. Now this is not for comparison, but this is the red filter that is on the BSS V4. The other flashlights don't have a red filter option, but because this does, I wanted to show you what that looked like. All right, same thing, up and down, left and right. Okay, next up is the Olight Warrior Mini 2. This is on turbo. All right, so we'll go up, and then down, and then left and right. Now when you're watching these comparisons, just take note of how tight that center beam is and how much spill we have on the lights. All right, next up is the Streamlight ProTac. All right, and go up, down, left, and right. In comparison, this one definitely seems to have a much tighter hotspot, and that's definitely contributing to the reflector that's in there in that large head. Next up, we have the Fenix PD35, also a very, very tight beam, all right, with plenty of spill here. So go on up and down, left and right. All right, so the next test is over here in the woods, focusing on the bench. It is right in the middle of the trees back there, and that is probably about 30 to 35 feet away right here. So we're starting with the ThruNite BSS V4. All right, I'm just kind of scanning from left to right here, just to give you an idea of some of that spill. And just for curiosity, here is the ThruNite with the red filter. All right, next up is the Warrior Mini 2 by Olight. All right, scan left to right here. You can see the difference with the focus beam as opposed to some of the spill off to the side. All right, next up is our Streamlight. You can see the Streamlight, very focused beam here, a lot brighter hot spot. And we can pan from left to right. And finally, the Fenix PD35, also a very tight hot spot here. Panning left to right. It is interesting to see how these different lights, you know, with their different LEDs and reflectors, how they're actually projecting that light. Some of them obviously have a tighter hotspot, a little bit better throw, and other ones benefit having a lot more spill off to the sides at closer distance. Alright guys, so now that we took a look at what they're capable of, I just want to give a quick little conclusion here. I really do like the ThruNite BSS V4 overall in comparison with these three, just because of its versatility. I like its accessories. You know, I like the fact that I can switch between the crenulated bezel. I can just leave it off if I want that different beam pattern, which we saw, or I can switch over to the red lens if I want. It's just kind of cool. It's cool to have the different options. It is the most affordable of the bunch, and of course it does have the most light that's coming out of there. Now for me, it's kind of hard to choose my second favorite here. It's kind of a tie between the Olight and the Streamlight. They both have their pros and cons. I do like Fenix, you know, overall as a brand. There's multiple lights that are extremely usable. This PD35 is a fantastic light, but on its own. In comparing it, it seems to just fall short, and that's kind of been a theme in comparing the last couple different flashlight models. I've always been a huge Fenix fan, but they really just, it's just usually my least favorite when I'm doing these comparison videos, so it's just kind of interesting how that turns out. Without comparing them to other lights, it is still a fantastic light. I mean, this is pumping out 1700 lumens for 80 bucks. I do think it's high performance, but again, when you sit down and you really compare one model to the next throughout different brands, you could really see, you know, where some lights fall behind and other lights kind of get ahead, you know, and you could see their advantages. But anyway, that's just my opinions. Thanks for watching.